Welcome back to part 2 of this little mini series where I'm taking you behind the scenes of what a couple of my athletes' race nutrition plans were for Sunny Coast 70.3. And today's episode, I'm joined with ex-boxer Michael Welsh, or Welshy. And his race nutrition is totally different to Jason, who we heard from last week. And I really want you to understand that your race nutrition needs to be perfect and dialed in for you. Not a generic plan you've pulled off the internet, not using products that somebody suggested to you because they get kickbacks for doing so, not trying to just follow blindly what the pros are doing because, they should have it figured out, and also not getting waylaid by your training buddies who have their race nutrition plan sorted for them as well. Now, Michael came to see me way too close to Sunny Coast, but I felt bad for him, so I helped him out. Usually I want to start working with somebody many months before an event because there is a lot we need to do when it comes to racing. But he came to me because his old plan that another practitioner had written for him was just not working for him. It was super complicated, hard to remember, and hard to get down. Like everything was very solid for somebody who's trying to do a sub 4 hour 30 70.3 race. So we completely overhauled his race nutrition. And I wanted him to talk you through what that is today. Welcome to the Triathlon Nutrition Academy podcast, the show designed to serve you up evidence-based sports nutrition advice from the experts. Hi, I'm your host, Taryn, accredited practicing dietitian, advanced sports dietitian, and founder of Dietitian Approved. Listen as I break down the latest evidence to give you practical, easy to digest strategies to train hard, recover faster, and perform at your best. You have so much potential, and I want to help you unlock that with the power of nutrition. Let's get into it. All right, welcome to the podcast, Welshy.
Thanks, Taryn. Thanks for having me.
So this is your very first podcasting experience, I understand.
It is, first time.
You're going to be fine, mate. It's all good.
The pressure's on me.
No pressure. So for the listeners, who is Michael Welsh?
Everyone calls me Welshy, just a construction worker who does triathlon for a hobby. So,
how long have you been doing triathlon for?
I started triathlon with a few sprints in 2019 and building my way up to my first 7.3 in Geelong in February.
So only fresh, only a couple of years doing the sport.
Yeah, very fresh.
What were you doing before triathlon?
I was doing a bit of amateur boxing before triathlon and just got a bit hard fully committing to that. I needed a goal and a challenge, so that's why I got into triathlon.
Super fit, but yes, boxing is a whole different kettle of fish to triathlon, isn't it? It's like about making weight and, power to weight and all those sorts of things. It's very different compared to triathlon when we need to be sort of way more aggressive with our fueling, really.
That's so true. And my partner's a boxer and I see how she has to commit, and it's just hard to do both work and box. So, yeah.
Interesting career shift, sporting-wise.
Yeah, but I'm actually loving it and I really found my niche and I really want to get better. So,
yeah, awesome. So we're going to talk about your Sunny Coast 70.3 race nutrition plan today, but was this your first Sunny Coast race?
It was, yep.
And second 70.3?
Third. So I've done Geelong in February and then Cairns in June and then now Sunny Coast just done. So,
okay, nice. And do you think that 70.3 distance is where you're at, or are you looking at going a bit longer?
Everyone's been asking me, when are you doing a full one? And I'm just like, just give me a couple more years at 70.3s first and just ease into it. I really want to become a good 70.3 athlete first before I tackle the big one.
Yeah, great plan. Everyone's so forceful into you have to do an Ironman, but honestly, you don't. And if you never want to do an Ironman, that's also okay.
I really want to do one, but for now, this is where I'm at and just want to build myself as a good athlete.
Yeah, good plan. And learn how to eat properly for triathlon if you've got that boxing history, because it's very, very different when it comes to nutrition.
100% it is, yeah.
So how did we end up working together? Why are we talking about your Sunny Coast race plan? How did that whole journey start?
I got told about you by a good friend of ours and my partner's dietitian, Ange Clark. I had a few things that just weren't working for me at that point of time. And so, I reached out and we started working together in the lead up into Sunny Coast. Didn't have much time, but you nailed it, Taryn. So it was great.
Oh, thanks. So you'd done 2 70.3s before we started working together. What was the issue or what was going on with your race nutrition before that made you want to get a new 70.3 race nutrition plan?
It was working, but once I got talking to high-level athletes and stuff like that, they asked what I was having, and I was doing a lot of chewing while I was racing, and they were just like, "Whoa, man, that's a lot of chewing." And then that's what made me question what I was doing, and that's what I wanted to really reach out to someone like yourself. Triathlon was their niche, so now really flipped it on its head.
So your plan before was, very complicated. There was a lot of chewing, like every 20 minutes there was something solid, and a very convoluted plan that was quite difficult to follow and calculate, and almost forgetting what you were meant to be doing at each kind of 20-minute interval. Is that right?
Yeah, that's right. It was eating every 20 minutes. And when you're racing, the last thing you want to think about doing is, crap, I've got to eat. And just keep reminding yourself every 20 minutes instead of just focusing on the job on hand, racing. So
yeah, and your goal was to go fast, right? What was your goal heading into Sunny Coast 17.3? What were you aiming to achieve time-wise?
My goal was to go under 4:30, sub 4:30. So
well, you smashed that, mate. You had a cracking day. So let's dive a bit into your race plan for Sunny Coast. Let's go from the beginning to the end. So starting with carb loading first, what was different about this race compared to before, and how did your carb loading plan sort of work for you?
Leading into it, I think I started carb loading on the Friday night and then all day Saturday. It was just simple and easy to follow.
So you're used to following a bit of a plan as a boxer, like it's very kind of structured and controlled in a way because it has to be. And so interesting to then take that behavior and mindset around food into then triathlon fueling. So with boxing, you potentially do things that you don't want to do, but you know you have to because that's what's going to help you achieve what you want to achieve. But with carb loading, I always love to put into people's plans food that they love because it's not easy to carb load. It's actually quite difficult to get the volume of carbohydrate in that you need to actually super compensate your muscle glycogen stores. So it always has to be an element of foods that you like and things that are not potentially dietitian approved outside of carb loading to make that whole process as enjoyable as possible, because it's a little bit of force feeding carbohydrate going in to actually fill our fuel tank properly.
Yeah, that's correct. I'm a very good eater. I'm always happy to eat a bit extra carbs and a few extra lollies here and there. So as you said, you wouldn't really recommend the stuff I was eating if it wasn't carb loading a couple of days before the race, but
yeah,
it was great.
So did you feel different in the carb loading sense for this race, or did it feel the same as before?
No, I just felt really fueled, like with the taper and everything I was doing. I was excited to get out there, yeah.
And this time you had a pre-race meal sort of planned and developed as well. Was that different to what you've done before? And what did you actually do for your pre-race breakfast?
So I had the old faithful, what I have before every long session, my smoothie. If it's not broken, well, I fix it. So, yeah, it worked really well.
And is your pre-race meal smoothie different to just a normal training session smoothie, or do you put the exact same things in there?
Probably